What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expedia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expedia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expediausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing Group and the call center geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the call center contact center podcast. We try to give you some actionable items, take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve the agent experience, hopefully improve the customer experience as well. That's what we're going to try to do today. Hey, my name is Tom Laird. I'm the CEO here at Expedia Interaction Marketing. Expedia is a 600-seat call center outsourcer located here in kind of Marchy spring, maybe in the air, Erie, Pennsylvania. How's everybody doing? I hope you have really enjoyed the last couple episodes we have done. You know, the one with Eric Krause talking about kind of the benchmarking the financial aspects of your BPO. If you are a BPO at all, you got to check that out. It's made me really think of some of the things that we're doing in our contact center. And again, if you're an owner or an operator, I think that's something to definitely check out as well. We've been focusing a lot on BPOs and on technology. And I wanted to do let's get back down to brass tacks. Let's get to the roots of kind of, or the root of what we're trying to do. And I think the podcast and how we started this thing. And let's just talk about Tome. Let's talk about actually trying to improve the agent experience and improve the customer experience, right? Let's try to talk through, how we can make the empathy in the tone of how the, that those interactions with customers, how can we improve the everyday phone call or the everyday interaction on a chat? And so I have a couple, thoughts that I want to give you. And this is kind of 5 things that we kind of focus on, especially when we have a new agent, and we're trying to kind of figure out, how to best kind of position them and how to, make sure that their voice and their tone is perfect for any type of match that we have with a client of ours. So let's dig right into this. Right here's kind of 5 ways that I think you can improve the tone, and 5 things that we look at to make sure that the tone of our agents is where it needs to be. Again, we work for brands. We can't make mistakes. We have to have high-end associates that are, really just an extension of that brand. And if we have somebody that's just having an off day or is, kind of blah on the phone, then they can't be on the phone, right? But how do we train that? How do we educate that through? And the first thing is, and I'll get deeper into this, but let's start at kind of the top level. Is number one is most contact centers are hiring completely wrong. Everybody's still looking at a resume. Everybody's looking at that 20-year contact center rep that maybe is coming over from a business or a company that you've heard of. But maybe they're sales reps, right? If they're sales reps, how are they going to match your customer experience program, right? Where you're just looking for really, really empathetic. Maybe you have a really delicate, type of customer experience program. I think that's the biggest thing is, and again, you've heard me say it, and I don't want to get deep into this because I've done full podcast episodes on kind of defining your culture, understanding that. And if you're looking for agents that have that empathy, that have that tone, right, then first of all, make sure that the questions that you're asking kind of match that, right? Ask them and talk to them and talk through that. See if you kind of feel the way that a customer would feel on the phone, when you're going through that interview process. I think that's a really important thing. The other thing is really good empathetic customer service agents are becoming more difficult to come by. I would just say natural ones, right? We can train and educate it because of this thing. Our phone, and I'm guilty as anybody, everybody's like this the whole time, right? We don't really talk. We don't interact. And so I think if you can get somebody who's naturally excitable, right, has that kind of ability to kind of speak, that's a skill today. That's really important. So the first thing is, define what you're looking for. Forget that resume. Have conversations with your agents or the potential agents to see if you got on the phone with them, would this be a voice? Would this be something that you think could really match either the brand or what the culture of what you're looking for is? So I think that's the first one. The second thing is, again, I think our onboarding as an industry and when I consult is way off. We are so concerned and worried about other pieces of the business, having their fingers into this that we forget about Tome. So they're so concerned about a cross-sell and upsell, not making mistakes. All these things are vitally important, right? So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not important, but we work so much when we have a brand new agent as an industry on what to click, where to click, how to work the screens, how to work the technology, that we forget that these people are going to be interacting with human beings. One of the tips or one of the things that we constantly do in our training is we role play kind of every segment, right? So again, if we day one, of program training, and we're talking about, just the opening. Hey, thank you for calling XYZ Credit Union. My name is Tom, right? There is a skill to that. You can't start your call with, hey, thanks for calling XYZ. Hey, my name's Tom. How can I help you? Right. So again, it's all in the tone, right? And you'll hear me say it a billion times. The tone is the message. We have so many times where you could be a contact center agent that is every single call that you get during the day, you have given the end required result to that customer, right? That could be great. And you could see your NPS and your CSAT scores and your sentiment scores extremely low compared to the person with the unbelievable tone that had to tell no all day long to customers, right? But because their tone was where it was supposed to be, because they had empathy, because they just sounded like they had a smile on their face, that they were interested in the person on the other line, their CSAT, their NPS, their sentiment scores will be 10x, right? Compared to a lot of times what that other contact center rep is. So, understanding it's not really what you say, but it's how you're saying it. Right. That's the job here. And this is the difficult part of this, right? Because you could take hundreds and hundreds of calls during a week. Right. And how do you make sure that you have that same type of energy? And I think that's where the supervisor and that's where QA really comes into play in making sure that, we're hitting these things. But again, understanding that I think tone is even more important than what to click, where to click. As you're going through your screen training, what would a customer or an agent say during this part? Role playing every single day. It's not just like at the end, we're like, all right, let's just take some calls and let's role play some calls, right? But understanding if an agent really understands how you want them to talk, you'll have a huge advantage. If you've hired well and you have some high energy people, right, that I think that, again, for us, attitude and effort, right? So they're matching that attitude and effort. And then in your onboarding, you're talking to them consistently about their tone, how they should have a smile on their face. Now, if you have people that in training are like, this is stupid, then they don't fit your culture. And I think we are much too, once we get somebody in training, we just like, I don't want to deal with it. We'll just kind of keep going through this process. But training is where you learn. Training is where you learn as a call center agent. Training is also where you learn as the call center manager, right? To see if this person is going to fit. If you have a high energy training and you think you're doing a good job with that, if you have somebody there that is not into it, then guys, they're not going to work. It's not going to be a fit for the culture of your organization. So I think I get it too. Like some of you guys are hiring hundreds of people at a time. It can be very difficult to be like, well, we have 3 of them that are here, but I'll tell you what, those 3 are going to take away or take most of your time, right? To kind of get them to the level they need to be, especially if you've done a really good job of hiring the vast majority. So, I would tell you in training, if they're not into it, I would cut people loose in training much quicker than I think most of you guys do. And really focus on the people and the tone of the agents that are there that really kind of want to do it. All right. The third thing is that we don't do, right, or most organizations don't do is actually score and measure, right, tone and quality. Now, I shouldn't probably say quality. Definitions of quality for everybody is a little bit different, right? When I go again consult and I'll say, hey, can I see your QA form? Can I see what you're using to score agents? Again, it's probably greeting at the bottom. It's disclosure. It's ask probing questions. It's right. It's all of these black and white type things that come into play, but very rarely do I see some type of scoring on tone, in making sure we are actually rewarding, right, those agents that are doing a good job with that. If that's, you have to measure what you're trying, the desired outcome that you want. And a lot of times from a quality standpoint, again, we are concerned about legal things. We're concerned about sales aspects, right? The cross-sell, upsell piece. Are we trying to get a sale from a question in A? Are we probing for those questions to make sure that we're getting the other person to talk? We train all of this stuff from a sales aspect and from a quality aspect and then from a legal aspect. Understanding that half the battle could be fought with just really good tone at the beginning of a call. Right, actually being excited to have that person, to talk to that person. Or again, this is a stage. We have to at least act like we are really, really into it, right? Because again, there could be times on a Wednesday, you've been there for 2 days, it's hump day, it's 3:00, your shift's over at 4. It can be very difficult to be like, oh my gosh, I got to take 3 more calls here and I got to get through the day. But the really good customer service agents that get it, they were there to kind of perform at all times. And I'll tell you, again, even the salespeople, right? I get so irritated when they're like, well, her tone's a little off because she's more into sales. I'm like, well, that really doesn't mean anything to me. So salespeople just have poor tone and they're just hardcore. Right now, I get that maybe that works for some people, but I still think that the vast majority, even when you're on a sales call, if your tone is right, you have an engagement early, right? That there can be a trust that gets built early because that person thinks you really want to talk to them. So again, measuring from a QA standpoint, I absolutely love analytics for this to show sentiment scores of all of our agents, right? So all of our customer service and our inbound calls, we are scoring sentiment. They're posted and our agents can kind of see. Super correlates to CSAT and it super correlates to the type of individual that we have. So we may have somebody that's more salesy that maybe has to really push themselves to have that really energetic, happy tone, and they will be lower on that scale, right? So those are the people that maybe we need to work with, right? Because we probably moved them 3 or 4 times. They've been here for 8 or 9 or 10 years, right? So depending on the type of programs we have and the clients we have at that time, those are some things that our supervisors are now very aware of now. So not only are they looking at cross-sell numbers and sales numbers and service level and handle time, right? But now we've added in sentiment scores as a huge piece of what we do. And as a BPO, I think it's vitally important to be able to prove to a client, hey, not only are we matching your numbers, all right, but we are making sure that the tone, the word usage, how we're speaking to your customers is in line with what you want. So I think that's a really, in this technology, again, probably 5 years, maybe analytics, somebody that's an early adopters before that, but really, I think we've really only been utilizing it for like the last 5 years, and it's had a huge impact in again what we're doing with our customers and what we're doing. And hey guys, if you do, I'm on LinkedIn Live. If you guys do have any questions, Nate, I'll get to you. Please ask away. If anybody is here, I didn't even publicize this. This is kind of just, it's a podcast episode I've been meaning and wanting to do. Have a little bit of time here, so. Again, wasn't expecting some people, but it's awesome that you guys are here. And again, if there's anything I can answer on this kind of topic or anything else, let me know. The fourth kind of thing is I think we have the tools now to incentivize tone, right? So analytics is an amazing way for us to actually pay our associates more, right? To make sure that they're hitting the level of word usage and of how they're speaking to customers. This has been, and you've heard me, if you followed this, you've heard me talk about this a lot, is so we have 2 pillars of culture at Expedia: attitude and effort. Effort's kind of easy, or it's easier, right? You can do things on attendance. You can do things on average handle time. Like they're putting effort in, right? But how do you do attitude, right? It's so subjective, right? And this is why analytics for us has been kind of the just a panacea when it comes to then being able to take it was always easy to incentivize your sales guys, right? They hit their sales, they can get more money. But how do you incentivize customer service agents that maybe don't have a sales aspect? Yeah, there's a QA piece, right? There may be a CSAT, there's an NPS, again, that can be a little bit subjective, but I think now looking at sentiment scores and now paying our associates more, especially when it really comes to projects that are empathetic, that you need empathy, that I think is really important. Yeah, I mean, Marshall, I agree, and I think Marshall has. I'll kind of throw his comment up here. Analytics when coupled with QA and CSAT with EX scores is a great holistic way, and I agree with that. I think for sure for us, we are still doing QA, and I'm still scoring calls. I have found that I prefer sentiment over CSAT and kind of NPS scoring and all those kind of survey models, right? Again, just because you could be doing everything perfectly on a call, right? But that customer's ticked off because you had to follow a company's policy or procedure, or maybe you couldn't give a refund, or you can't send something new out to them. And that customer will then go and hammer your rep. It was terrible. I didn't get what I needed, blah, 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 right? And it lowers their CSAT when that agent did everything possible that they were supposed to do. So again, with sentiment scoring and QA, right? I think that those are really the two biggest things that we're looking at. Right. So we're looking at number one, are they hitting all the things that they should, right? We got to hit the legal disclosures. We got to hit a greeting. We have to be asking probing questions. Like all the stuff is really important, but now to take the other piece and the quality aspect of what we're doing with analytics, with sentiment scores, is gives you a really good snapshot of that agent that I think, again, is kind of the new layer or the new level of what I think the kind of how we measure a world-class center. Even before analytics, we were just talking about service level and handle time and those types of things. We have at least moved to more of a quality aspect driven technology that can be in a lot of different centers. And I think it's vitally important. So again, and it's awesome to be able to incentivize, pay your associates more for especially the ones that have the really, really great tone. The fifth thing I think that is really, really important is we call out things with our agents when they do something well, right? So we call it a raving fan, right? Somebody who either is at the end of a call is like, hey, can I talk to your supervisor? Because this person did an unbelievable job. Or, they call back, right? Because it was so the support that they thought they got, they want to be like, hey, I want to give Janie a shout out. She did great. Right? Those are important. We always call those out, right? We call them out on Slack. I'm sending those to the clients, right? Anytime that we have a compliment like that. Because that's important, especially when you're talking about NPS and you're talking about, kind of word of mouth. We call out hundreds on our QA, right? So, Janie did a great job on her QA score. She had 100%. We can call that out. And now I think just as important is calling out tone and looking at sentiment scores and looking at somebody who has had some amazing calls, right? From a tone perspective is something that we as an industry have not really done. Not everybody. There's still a very small percentage of contact centers that are in the analytic world. It's growing every day. And I think that's a really, really important piece. And I love things like an Observe AI and some of these other, kind of forward-looking analytic companies that are really starting to think about that and to give, agents kind of a shout out or a call out, depending on where their tone is. And I think that's really important. All right, Natalie, what do you got here? As I work as a call center supervisor, how can QA join in to assist? Let's put you up here. I work as a quality supervisor. How can QA join in to assist contact center leaders with team management to build our agents' quality? We're a medical records, 1,200 agents. The first thing is, again, I think it's really important that you guys can kind of talk through roles. I don't know what your ratios are for supervisors, and I'd love to. And Natalie, I'll tell you what. If you have, I think I can do this. If you have an email, I can send you an invite. You want to come on right now, and we can have a conversation on this if you want to do that. If you don't have time, or like if you're at work or something, I get it too. But I'll try to answer your question. But if let me know. We can maybe get a quick back and forth here as well. But I would say, the first thing to do is look at your supervisor, your on-floor supervisors. What's that ratio, and what is their role? Looking at your QA, what is your ratios for that? What is their role? So for 1,200 agents, for us, we're about a say 15 to 1 ratio. So from our supervision, and then from our QA, we're about at a 30 to 40. Oh, nice, Natalie. I like it. Let's see if I can do this. Send me your email. Oops, sorry, Natalie, didn't mean to show your email. All right. First time I've done this. Let me invite you. Let's see if we can do this. All right, Natalie, I'm going to send you an email. See if you can hop on right away. All right, Natalie, I shot that to you. That's the invite. See if you can click and this is a really good topic that I think can help a lot of people. So let me give you a second here to see if you can do that and see if you can join. But I think, that's the biggest, what I've seen even consulting is there can be a disconnect between what QA, what their role is, what the on-floor supervisor's role is, right? So if you have really strong QA, sometimes they want to have be the fixture of the things that are happening on the team. The supervisor can sometimes disagree. So there needs to be a kind of a union. So for us, we make sure that our QA scores the calls, right? There are main score of calls. They're looking at sentiment as well. That then comes into the on the floor to the actual supervisor. And then that supervisor will be the one that actually does the listen to the call. If there's any kind of disagreement, they can have that before it gets to the agent. And then, the supervisor is the one that is actually kind of handling that issue, doing the role playing and helping that out. I will tell you though, that the supervisors are, while QA is kind of in charge of sentiment, the supervisors see it all, right? So they're the ones that are talking to their agent as well on where they are from a sentiment standpoint. Our QA and our supervisors are talking daily as well to say, hey, listen, can you listen and make sure that we're monitoring Janie, Susie, and Tim? Their call quality seems to be going down. I got Tim, who maybe is in a little bit of a mood today, right? So there just needs to be a really good team camaraderie between the on-floor and the off-floor, right, management teams, which are the same roles, but it just kind of in a different way. They have to have their roles defined, though. And I've seen that so many times where supervisors will disagree with QA in front of the agent or as they're all together doing it, right, in monitoring. And it becomes this big, hubbub, and then you have people taking sides, and it really hurts the organization and the quality aspect. So, again, I think that all of those need to be when you talk to the agent, it's kind of a unifying front from both ends, and understanding kind of, who's doing what, who's doing the actual coaching, and what is really going on with some of those calls. So again, I don't know if that helps you, but that's kind of, some of the things I think to kind of really build that out is number one is really defining the roles of what those two groups are, and then becoming the team, right? That isn't like this. All right, Natalie, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot here. Like, I've never done this before. I think I probably screwed your email up. Let me try it one more time because I really want to do this. All right, so hold on. Let me type your email back in here. It's hard I try to bring it up and I was copy and pasting, but I don't want to show your email to everybody. I don't think that's right. All right, Natalie, I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, there's another question here. Employee well-being is one of the most important things, yet the least measured. Why do you think that is, and what do you measure? Okay, so this is really good. And I think, there are some organizations that really focus on this piece of it, right, on the employee engagement, employee wellness, scoring certain things, when it comes to that aspect. I just think for a lot of organizations, it's a difficult metric to measure, right? Overall, to be honest, most organizations don't care. It's not something that they can see or that C-level executives see, something that could move the needle. Now, I think that that's insane, right? And I think we would all agree here that that's insane because that's going to have a huge impact on your ROI when it comes to turnover, when it comes to call outs. And I think it was a little bit easier, right, when we were all in the office, right? Because there's certain things that we could do, like whether you have that cool break room or you have some things, from that aspect where when you're work from home, and I'm not saying this is right, but a lot of C-level guys think they're already at home. Like, what more can we do? Where, I think, again, employee gamification is huge. I think that can be a ton of fun. Still having the, committees, right? So if you're going to have a new headset that you're going to roll out to all of your call center agents, you better talk to some of the leaders, right, to make sure that thing goes out well. And I kind of just did a podcast on that with an engagement standpoint. Any policies, procedures that are coming down the pike, make sure that you have a buy-in from the agents. I think, and I know well-being is a little bit different, right, than what we're talking about. This is more engagement. I think from a well-being standpoint, you have to look at, some on-floor I guess, or hardcore call center things, and then some other things too. So one is are you burning your agents out? I just typed a little bit this morning talking about occupancy, talking about making sure that our agents are only working about 75% of the hour, right, in a working state, or about 45 minutes. If your after call work and that kind of doesn't add up to that, then you're going to burn people out. That well-being, I think, is a huge piece of it. So there's some things that we can do from that aspect. But yeah, I think, we have worked with a lot of 211s, right, where they're taking some really, really heavy calls. So, suicide hotline calls, homeless calls, battered women calls, those types of individuals in trying to deal with that. So where we would actually have a kind of a on-call therapist that these guys could talk to if they had any really difficult calls that maybe I'm not able to really help them with, or that they can deal with. You see this a lot with content moderation, right? So content moderation teams on TikTok, on YouTube, some of the things that they see are disgusting. A lot of the things, can be elevated to the police. When you see that stuff every single day, you definitely need some type of assistance or help or time away, some things to talk to, some people to talk to. Oh, Natalie, you did it.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you? We did it. We figured it out.
We did it. It was me. I work for a medical records company, so a lot of our emails get encrypted.
I got you. So again, I think I took your question maybe at a higher level, but is there anything else like you want to dig deeper into that a little bit, or do you have any other questions on that?
Yeah, your answers to the questions really help. The biggest thing with our call center, we have a lot of quality issues. Literally our quality scores, but also tone, call control, call flow. We deal with a lot of doctors and nurses, every specialty, cardiologists, whatever, nurses, everything, you name it. So a lot of our agents don't have that confidence to deal with such intelligent people. So we have to teach them how to rebut intelligently and effectively. So kind of those sales tactics.
Yeah.
They don't have that, and it affects the chart coming into us. So our quality is a little different than normal call centers, but ultimately the same thing.
Natalie, how are you measuring? And I'm sure anecdotally you know the quality by listening to calls, but are you using any type of analytics? Are you using any type of tools to kind of help with that?
Yeah, we do have speech analytics that we just rolled out maybe 6 months ago. And we also have an open rec to hire a speech analyst as well. That's been out for a couple months. So we're not quite where we want to be. But have
you found that analytics has been difficult to roll out with that? What is some of your, because I think a lot of people, and again, I'm not blaming anybody, but when analytics gets rolled out, because again, everybody almost thinks it's almost plug and play, when there is a lot of work to kind of set that up to get it to where you need it to be. I mean, have you found that to be there, or what is the kind of the about, the analytics that you have right now?
The that I've seen so far is sometimes it doesn't quite match up to what I'm hearing. So we have little trigger words, like when we're talking about the health plan, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the recording picks that up. When we give the intro, the summary of the call, when they're speaking about payment for medical records, we have those trigger words that come up. It does also recognize the tone, whether negative or positive. So those work out great. It's just when we have those and we listen to the call and then we look at what the speech analytics gave the rating, that the agent had a positive tone, and then I listened to the call and where it said it was positive, the agent was most definitely not positive. So kind of those inconsistencies are the big issue right now.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. There's a lot of training that you can kind of do with that as well. One of the things I would suggest, I think, especially in your type of contact center, and again, not to have to purchase another tool, which, with 1,200 agents, nothing is going to be quick and nothing is going to be, inexpensive, but really looking at, especially I think for your use case, but looking at agent assist and just to start to do some initial thoughts around that. So again, when a doctor says something, or when you need to rebut something, when those types of things become like that internal supervisor, right? That can kind of help those agents on the call that maybe are a little bit more nervous about, some of those aspects. I think agent assist could be something really cool, in your guys' use case. I mean, especially from a financial services or a healthcare standpoint, where it's you need a little bit higher level agent, and maybe your agent is here. I think can kind of bridge that gap a little bit. But the other thing is, again, I think from your aspect is listening to that quality aspect, and then becoming a really, really good team with the supervisor, having you guys kind of join together. Don't fight, don't argue over what we think is good or not. I would suggest as well is to do some supervisor in QA, take an hour and do some benchmarking sessions. So you go score a call, have one of the on-floor supervisors score a call and kind of talk through it. So then there becomes a trust that gets built, right? So if you say, hey, I scored this as an 89, that supervisor on the floor is not going to start to doubt you. And then things I think can go a little bit quicker as well. So I think some benchmarking could probably help as well. And then again, just a ton of role playing with your agents. I mean, that's not rocket science. I'm not giving you anything you probably don't already know. But I think that there's some things too that you just got to dig into the weeds a little bit to kind of get everybody on the same page so that you're all rowing together. Because with 1,200 agents, once you get that thing cooking, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was very helpful.
Okay, Natalie, thanks. Hopefully I helped you a little bit. I appreciate you coming on. You were the first guest that I've ever brought on a podcast. So from just outside questions. So again, I appreciate it. And hopefully that helped.
Yeah. Thank you. Big fan. I really appreciate it.
All right, Natalie. Thank you. All right. And then Sean, you got here. We had a staff manager. Her only job was to check with teams daily. Often the teams were not comfortable with talking to their manager at work. Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a really good idea. It's almost like during COVID, we had I don't want to say a COVID officer, right? But somebody, the supervisors got so kind of annoyed with telling people, hey, you have to put your mask on or make sure that you're 6 feet apart, right? And kind of having that separate person that kind of had the right personality to do that. And then the agents would kind of talk to them a little bit as well. So no, I think we don't talk about that enough from an agent wellness standpoint, from some of the calls that these guys get. I mean, they can be extremely difficult. And depending on the type of calls, again, like I said, like from the 211 side, from the looking at content moderation, but even a regular customer service call, when you got somebody really ticked off and they're calling you names just because maybe they're not very stable, it can be extremely frustrating. And I think it is important that we do understand that we have basically a no question break policy if you have a difficult call or if you're having a difficult day, right? So just go have a cigarette, go take 15 minutes, go take 20 minutes, especially if QA hears some things, because we still will have really, I don't want to say tough, but seasoned call center reps. But if QA is like, whoa, that call was very difficult, they will call in and be like, hey man, go listen to Janie, make sure she's okay, those kind of things. I think that's really important too. So again, this was fun, guys. Like I didn't plan on all the questions, and I love it. It makes it way more interesting than just kind of doing an episode. So if you guys have anything else, I can hang out here for another minute or two. But again, just to get back to kind of the gist of what we were talking through is tone is the message, right? And again, I think if you can have a catchphrase in your contact center, again, for us it is, and use it, right? Tone is the message, right? That's what when we're talking, when we're onboarding, when we're going through an agent who did not have good tone, right? They will understand if I come, hey guys, what's the number one thing? Like, tone is the message. So it becomes like this mantra that you kind of can utilize in your call center, right? So if you can, I think those are kind of the three things from a quality aspect. If I said, hey guys, what's our culture? Every single agent would say attitude and effort, right? They know that those are the two pillars that they need to focus on. And if I say, guys, what's the number one thing about taking calls? It would be the tone is the message. And I think if you can kind of start to drill those things into your agent's head, and then have the aspect to kind of follow through with that from an analytics standpoint, from a QA standpoint, from how you're training. And again, that's easily said, from kind of this pyramid of how we get our agents to a certain level. But again, I don't think it's focused on enough. We're focused on so many more things than just having a smile on your face, in kind of getting through the day in a good way. So again, thank you guys very much. I love all of you. This has been a great episode. And Natalie and anybody who had a question, guys, I'm going to post this. It'll be on YouTube, and then we'll post this as an episode too, as advice from a call center geek. I'll probably edit out the 15 minutes when I'm trying to figure out Natalie's email, but other than that, I think this has been really good. So again, thank you guys very much for participating. Hopefully, I can add some value to you. And I will. I'll probably do another LinkedIn audio event later this week. Shoot something out there, but really appreciate it.